Hi everyone, Avinder Ruby with Alice Porter here. I'm really excited to have Stefan on today from Lux Relo. He's going to be discussing some of the updates and changes in Luxembourg that result as a result of the coronavirus. So I'll pass over to Stefan to introduce himself and his company, and then we can jump into some of the updates.
Hi, thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to be here and to talk a little bit about what's happening in Luxembourg with the international lockdown.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Luxembourg is just so uniquely positioned between France, Germany, and Belgium. Obviously, you have a lot of cross-border individuals, and in looking up a lot about Luxembourg, the population, the number of foreign nationals that are present in Luxembourg is quite unique. You have a very high percentage of population that are foreign nationals in Luxembourg.
Exactly. It's Luxembourg City. It's nearly 60% of the populations are foreign nationals, and overall in the country, I think it's more than 40%. So it's and this is without counting the cross-border workers that come every day, around 200,000, and on the 200,000 coming from France, Belgium, and Germany, you have 100,000 coming from France. So it's a quite unique country in terms of different cultures, nationalities working in the same place.
Okay, so let's jump into that a little bit. Now, if you're an employee, foreign employee working in Luxembourg right now, and your work permit's coming up to close to an expiration, what should you be doing now, and what timeline should you be looking at?
The Luxembourgish government has been quite reactive concerning this issue, and right away, I think within 1 week, I sent an email to the immigration office, and they publicly also announced that all the work permits that were going to expire, or all the temporary authorization that had been sent for the people supposed to come to Luxembourg would be automatically extended up to the end of the lockdown. So there's no issue at all. The people don't, expat don't have to do anything. It's automatically renewed without any further paper being sent out by the ministry. So they just have to wait until the lockdown is finished, and what will happen is that they will receive a letter at home informing them about the next step, which is the renewal process for the renewal, or for the people that are coming from outside the EU, when the borders will be open again. Those people will be able to travel even without their expired authorization letter.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a great move. I'm sure that's given a lot of relief for employers and employees. Now, what about those cross-border individuals that we talked about? Are there any specific paperwork that they need to carry when crossing into France, Germany, or Belgium through into Luxembourg?
Yeah, yes. And at the beginning of the lockdown, when it started in Germany and then France, the cross-borders workers were a bit concerned about what was going to happen, and if Luxembourg was going to close their borders, which of course they didn't do, because they really depends on the workforce that are coming from the neighboring countries. To give you an example, which is really important for this time of crisis, is the health sector, where more than 80% of the workforce are coming from the neighboring countries. So you cannot just close the borders and say, okay, you are not allowed to come, because of course you need to have those people working in logistics, working in the health industry, most of the people that are working in the shops as well, maybe not low-level employees in terms of pay, people that are at the counter in the shops and so on, are the people that are up front, and they are very often French, Belgium, or German. So for Luxembourg, it was really impossible to close their borders. So what happened is that you have depending on the country, you have a number of documents that you need to provide as a cross-border. So Germany, they set up a kind of paper that you can stick behind your car windscreen, and then you have a paper that needs to be signed by your employer stating that you are working in Luxembourg. So you need to have 2 papers to cross the border. In France,
are they valid? Are those papers, do they need to be renewed every week, or are they just valid until?
For Germany, they are valid from the day they have been issued.
Okay.
For the moment, I didn't hear anything that that changed about those 2 papers. In France, it's a bit more complicated because you need 4 papers now. So you need to have the same paper as in Germany, which is the paper for signed by your employer, issued by the Luxembourgish government, which more or less enable you to drive in Luxembourg and go to work. On the French side, you need to have a letter from a document from your employer as well with a stamp. So that's a French one. Then you need to have a document that you have to issue each time. So at the beginning it was only paper, but now you can have it on an app on your phone, which every day you have to fill in your details, names, birth date and address, and then you have to tick for what reason you are getting out of your house or your apartment. So in case of going to work to Luxembourg, you would have to tick the box where it says I'm going out of my residence to go to work.
Right.
And since I think it's last week, the French government also issued a new paper for people coming into France. So which means that, okay, you've been authorized to go to work to Luxembourg, but now if you are arrested by the police or stopped by the police on the way back home, you need to provide a document where it says that you are French national or foreign national, and that your residence is in France, and you need to go back to your residence.
Wow. So they're trying to cover all borders. And you said that it's not limited to specific positions. So skilled and unskilled positions, the papers are all the same. You require all of them.
Yeah, it's. I mean. In Luxembourg, there is not a full lockdown like in France or Belgium. It's a lighter one. People are allowed to go outside. People are allowed to go to work, even if all the shops, the bars, the restaurants are closed. All the gathering are forbidden. But it's much lighter than in France or Belgium. So yeah, if you think that it's important and that the work you are providing is necessary and you need to go to the office to do it, if you are a plant, a factory, or whatever, and you need to go to the office, then it's authorized. There is no limitation.
What top tips would you have for employers and employees who are currently in Luxembourg to kind of focus on during this pandemic?
Well, I think, you need to step back a bit and take also this time as an opportunity to reflect on yourself, to work on projects you didn't have time to work on because you were so busy working. Like we said just before, when offline, when we said, okay, it's time to spend more time with the family as well, which is great. Well, I see also a lot of actions being taken with people helping each other in the expat community, LinkedIn exchange or Facebook groups being created where people exchange and support themselves, which is great.
I think that's been something that kind of blew me away. Just the amount of knowledge sharing that's going on. Everyone seems to be coming together as a global community, which I think is fantastic, especially in something like this where you need to get information out quickly. It needs to be accurate information, but it also needs to be somewhat succinct in the information that's provided. So I think it's been really good. You're
right. It's important that it's clear and succinct, because sometimes you see 4 or 5 pages information about immigration issues, and I mean, you don't want to read that. So it needs to be, you know, bullet points, clear, and right to the point, so that, you know, people can read it and be reassured that, you know, they won't have any problem with their work permit renewal in Luxembourg or in the UK, for example.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, and one advice I would give also, which is important, is that of course, everything is, you know, stopped, and everything's working very slowly. But all the companies that are hiring outside the EU and are thinking about what should I do? Do I start a work permit process or not? I would tell them, do it now, because there's going to be backlogs when everything is starting to work again. The immigration office, like every state body, will be in the same situation, you know, with people coming back and a lot of files on their desk. And of course, if we can already start to apply for work permits, we don't have any issue with that. Then, you know, as soon as the process is okay for the people to come, then, you know, it will be much faster than to wait until the end of the lockdown.
So get prepared so you're ready to mobilize. I think that's a similar messaging we're looking at in the US as well. We have very lengthy processing times with USCIS, and although premium processing, which is the expedited form, has stopped in the US, USCIS is still adjudicating a lot of the work visas that are available. So I think that guidance is obviously clearly the same in Luxembourg. If you can apply now. Use this time where it's a little bit quieter maybe to have the government officials review the work permit applications, and then hopefully when everything does get back to normality, whenever that is, you're ready to jump on it. Just from your Mystic Meg perspective, how do you see the immigration in Luxembourg changing post-COVID-19? Do you see any substantial changes, or would you think it'll go back to business as usual?
It's difficult to say. It's difficult to say. When you read in the newspapers, when you read articles, you have, you know, one view, and then you have the opposite view in terms of what the economy will be after the lockdown. Some people are saying that there's going to be a boom. Some people say that it's going to be a huge recession. So it's really difficult to know. But talking about Luxembourg is really dependent on workers from outside the country, and skilled workers cannot be found in the neighboring countries anymore. You need to go further than that. You need to go outside the EU to find them in third countries. So I think this will continue. And of course, those people will need work permits. In terms of the way it's done, I don't think it will change much. Maybe one day the government will be able to provide an online application form, which will be much easier for us. But for the moment, it's paper application. So, but the process is much easier than in most countries. It's quite straightforward, and yeah, nothing really complicated if you know how to work around it.
Well, where, if it makes you feel any better, in the US, we're also using paper still, so we're not that far off, you guys. But thank you so much for sharing that information. If anyone does want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way is via LinkedIn, and otherwise using our website, which is www.luxrelo.lu, and all the messages are sent through the website, end up on my email box.
Fantastic. So if anyone's got any questions about immigration into Luxembourg, Stefan's your guy to go to. Thank you so much for sharing that information and tips with us. Really important stuff.